We back again. Another week. Excited to talk about the stuff we got to talk about. You guys will hear about it later on in the stream. But I don't want to spill the beans too early. Rayvon, what going on, man? It's been a little while.
It's been a bit, for real.
Yeah, yeah.
We started that
It's
we
been a
did
little.
getting a few episodes over the past 2 weeks. We might have missed us a little bit.
Life
But
happens,
yeah,
man.
man, life happens. But we back at it again with another one for the peeps. But
For
outside of
sure,
that,
that's for sure.
everything is fine. Everything is well. Just as usual, excited to get into the discussion of what's happening around the NBA. We got some F1 discussion coming up. So
Yeah.
stay locked in, peeps.
Yeah, for sure. Peoples, if you're in the stream, you already know what to do. Hit that like button, please, and thank you. Also, if you are new to this stream, to this show, follow us on all social media. You can see that in the bottom right hand corner of your screen right now. But the most prominent one at this point is on Instagram and TikTok as well. So, um, thanks for joining us. We can dive right into it. We don't want to waste too much time. People's the NBA is, well, I should say, this is more pertaining to the West side right now. It's well rest.
He's a well,
Like
well, yes.
it's crazy.
Only thing
All
he
the
ain't
way
got
up to sixth
gunslinging.
position. Exactly. But man shooting though.
It's true.
Um all the way up to sixth position is a little bit risky. You can't lose two games and survive in the
Exactly.
West right now. You gotta be on it and you gotta try to maintain that position as much as possible.
Yep.
What are
Uh,
your thoughts about the West right now,
a, a,
man?
a prime example of that last week. Timberwolves, my team. They
Mm-hmm.
were a game away from being the sixth seed, and they lost 3 games in a row last week, and now they're all the way down to ninth, almost on the brink of dropping out of the whole playoff playing bracket on a whole. So like the
Yeah.
margin for error is so tiny, so tiny. You
Yeah.
really gotta be locked in for these games. You can't make a mistake because every loss is a step further away from from being able to compete. In the most
Mm,
prestigious part of the season, I would say, is the postseason for the NBA. So
correct.
a lot of teams, like a lot of games right now in playoff mode. So there've been a lot of exciting games over the past few weeks. We didn't get a cover, but oh my goodness, the intensity, you could see it in the players' eyes.
Yeah.
You could see it on the
Desperate
court.
times.
You could see it quarreling with the refs. You can see the refs getting cussed out left, right, and
Yep.
center. Um, so it's no tolerance, no nonsense, no tolerance for no nonsense going on in the NBA right now. So the
Yep.
emotions are high.
Desperate times call for desperate measures,
Yep.
man. People really need this. I know a couple of teams like super close to like just getting into the playing tournament.
Yeah.
To be honest, anybody except like I guess the last three in the West should be disappointed if they don't get into the
Yeah.
playing tournament.
I agree.
Honestly, but it's gonna be a task. It's gonna be a task. Um, Let me look at the Jazz.
Yeah. The Jazz. You can start off with the Jazz. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
there are putting it up for the screen for the guys to see. 34 and 36 in the West. Pretty much one game, no games behind the Lakers, who are in 10th. Um, I could say straight off the bat, they right now they got the toughest schedule out of all the teams from 5 to 12 in the West, who are
Mm-hmm.
within 1 to 2 games of from each other. They got the toughest schedule out of all those teams. So the chances of them actually staying in the playing bracket, truthfully, it, in my opinion, is pretty slim. They they
Mm-hmm.
started off the season on a, I don't know, on a heater. Like no one saw them coming
Yep.
out of nowhere, and then after the halfway point, it just fell right back down to earth, which is at the point where we kind of expect them to be somewhere down in the bottom five of the league, well, in the West. Uh,
Right.
did I just don't think they got that firepower. Some teams probably would have figured them out by now. Um,
Mhm.
and this is a talent-driven league, so like the Jazz has talent, but talent to be developed, not consistent talent right now. I would say
Yeah.
besides
N-
Laurie Markkinen.
Not performing
Yeah,
talent right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So. with that said, I just don't think they'll climb anywhere further up. They'll probably be, unless the Lakers give them a Christmas gift. Who knows? It's very possible. Um, but yeah, the Jazz, I don't see it happening for them going forward. And at the end of the session, I can do you just give a whole list of very predict each team to be from 1 to 10, both on the East and the West. So we're just
Mhm.
discussing the West right now, just to give the most exciting section of the league some highlight. Uh,
Yeah.
but they got 3 games against opponents within that 5 to 12 range in the West. So I think all of these games are going to be big games when these teams within that range face off. So something to keep an eye out when we do our predictions, or just in general, um, just to see who plays who gets a tiebreaker over who as we go on as well.
How many games out of those three do you think they have to win to at least get a glimpse of?
All of them, like for everybody that has games against teams close to them in the West need to win
Mhm.
all the games because you never know. Like the team that has the least amount of games against any of these teams that are vying for a position against them is the Dallas Mavericks. They literally have over their last there's about 10 to 12 games. Let me say 9 to 12 games less for most teams in the regular season. Let's say average about 10 games for most teams.
Mhm.
Uh, the Dallas only has one of those games against any of these teams that are fighting for a spot, well, fighting for their position in the West. I would say. Um,
Right.
so they're the fortunate ones, but they still gotta go out there and win games. So all the games matter.
Exactly.
But the
They
Jazz,
got going the East and win games.
it's true. The Jazz, I just regardless of whoever they're facing, I just don't know. They might upset. They might be a team that may be a catalyst to upset one of those teams that may be ahead of them. You know,
Right.
some other team may be rooting for them to beat that team so that they can move up. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I just don't see them being one of the teams in the playing. Truthfully, given the talent on the other teams that we have here in the standings ahead of them at the moment.
Right. So we talk about Dallas having just one game, but Clippers are one of those teams that have a lot of games as well.
Yeah, against these teams,
Yeah,
Clippers
against
and
these
the
teams in the
Lakers.
West.
Clippers, the Lakers, and OKC all have 5 games against these teams. Actually, in
Hmm.
total, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams play each other 28 times over the next 2 weeks. So 28 games of insanity, I would believe, because each of these teams trying to knock
This
out one
table is
another.
gonna be
Yeah,
wild.
This- it is 8 of these teams trying to fight one another for
Yeah.
for the best spot they could possibly get. A lot of people probably don't want to be in the plane, but a lot of people also want to be in the plane because it gives them a shot. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
you got
exactly.
teams trying to get to that sixth spot or that fifth spot, lick off the Clippers or the Mavericks. Well, yeah, the Clippers or the Mavericks, so they
Yeah.
don't gotta be in the plane. I think a team that probably would be big on that would be the Warriors. Um, and then you got teams that are really trying to just hold on to their playoff hope, like the Lakers, for example. Um,
Hmm.
you know, with LeBron possibly coming out, and if you have LeBron and AD at relatively full health, you can make some noise in the playoff, regardless of whether you came through the play-in or not. So I think the
Right.
Lakers are one of those teams who on the fringe of, maybe they not might not be vying for the number 6 seed or for number 5 seed, but if they stay within some level of striking distance, anything is
Yeah,
possible.
for sure. For sure. But also too, I think if Lakers find themselves struggling to get in the plane, then it's going to be really hard to maintain or I guess gain some momentum in order to actually get a lot further when it comes to the playoffs.
Well, yeah, my thoughts on the Lakers on the whole right now, I do think they have the possibilities to go into play in the first round series, but I don't see them actually coming out of the series and going further than that.
Hmm.
Truthfully, but that is so dependent on LeBron, how he is when he comes back, and a bunch of other stuff. LeBron hasn't even really played a lot with the guys that came over um, in the trade after the trade deadline. I would say, to
Right.
really get that engine going. And when LeBron gets some reps under him, he is literally a maestro on the court. So I think that will be a missing factor. But on the contrary, you can see if they do the playing, the playing might give them some reps, you know, to give them
Right.
some level of familiarity with one another. If they do make it out the playing and go into the playoffs, that'd be interesting to see. I would say
And that'll be tough too. I'm not gonna
because
lie.
let's take it face value right now. Let's say they beat
Mhm.
Minnesota to play the loser of the 7-8 matchup in the playing. They beat that team as well now. The most they could get to if they finish the season in 10th is the 8th spot. They gotta play the Nuggets. I don't know if I seen them beating Nuggets. You know what I'm saying?
That's tough. Yeah, that's
Like
tough.
maybe the Kings is a possibility because the Kings don't really have a track record in the playoffs right now. Well,
Right.
at all, I would say for the most part, but it is it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be nerve wracking. I can say because the I don't know what the word to use the variety and the amount of ways that this thing could go is the possibilities are
That
endless,
that's the thing.
are
That's the
literally
thing.
endless.
Like it's so close, and hopefully, like we get a lot of fluctuation,
Yeah,
right? Just to make it more
and spice it up.
intense. Just to make
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Um, Warriors. You mentioned Warriors earlier. How are their games looking? They
Well,
got four to play amongst the West teams, I should say. And
my
yeah, go ahead.
my key for the Warriors is you got to win some away games, right?
Hmm.
Away games have been the kryptonite of the Warriors season. If you could look at their record right now, 36 and 36. They won 29 out of 36 games at home. So they're 29 and 7 at home. And they're 7 and 29 on the road. Like, what the hell is that? What is that? And they have about 10 games remaining for the season. And they split half and half. They
Yeah.
have 5 home, 5 away. So if we going on
Yeah,
this
boy,
theory,
yes.
right now they could possibly only win 5 more games, putting them at 41 and 41. And I
Yeah,
don't know if that's
boy.
a recipe to propel them any further than they are right now. Like the other teams below them will have to go on a serious losing streak, which I don't think that any of them will. One
And
of
if
these
they
teams got
have
to surge.
these yeah, yeah, I would say if they have these away games and I guess things go as trending,
Hmm.
it might be tough for them to come back when they come back to the West to try to play these teams as well. So like there's so many different factors that could play into how this thing goes. Depending on what each team's schedule looks like, right?
Yeah.
If a team has it a little bit easier in the beginning,
Hmm.
then they're more likely to carry that momentum into the tougher games.
Yeah, you would say that, but a team that out of all these here that has had the easiest schedule after I would say the midway point, or a little bit after the midway
Mhm.
point is Lakers, and they have not been able to capitalize on that. Like last week, they
But that's the
lost to the
Lakers
Rockets.
though. Like we've
Well,
seen
true.
how the Lakers have been for the entire season. Like they haven't been super great. They haven't been reliable. So I don't think using Lakers as a representative for this
Yeah,
analogy
yeah.
is the best thing to be honest.
I see you. I see you.
But I see what you're
But
saying
I mean,
as
they
well.
do have
Like
the better
I get
chance
that.
to make the most run because their strength of schedule is the weakest out of all of these teams that are in this playing spot.
Right.
Um, barring the only down to the OKC Thunder, and it's been
Mhm.
so for a little while now. We just even though we concentrating it to these last 10 or so games, even before then they had a weak strength of schedule, and they still have not really capitalized on it the way that they should have if they wanted to be vying for a higher playoff seeding. Um,
Mhm.
so right now, well, I can say for the Lakers specifically, having a weaker opponents to face over the next couple of weeks probably don't even mean a thing. Sad to say. They really got to go there and show that they could win games because they show that they could lose them to anybody.
Yep.
So there's that. And I think that's just a representation of a lot of these teams in this mix here.
Mhm.
Lakers, Dallas, the Warriors' kryptonite is being away. Wolves, same thing. They could lose to anybody. Pelicans could lose to anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe OKC might be a shining star among them to some extent. The Jazz could lose to anybody or win against anybody. Like it's so it's so middling. I think that's the best word I can use right now. That
Yeah.
all these teams exemplifying their record. They're a team that could go and lose, maybe beat anybody, and lose to anybody as well. So I think that trend can continue throughout the rest of these last few games. But we see who could win the games that they're supposed to win more. I think that's the most important thing. Who will win the games that they're supposed to win more? You know?
I think is like the pressure is going to build so quickly.
Hmm.
Like the first few teams that lose, I feel like the pressure is going to ramp up
Yep.
at a rapid pace, and that'll be interesting too to see how the team handles that pressure and if they can bounce back
Yeah.
and try to make things happen. So yeah, I definitely looking forward to this. You mentioned Pelicans. Pelicans got approximately 8 or so games away.
Hmm.
How you feel they were fair in the East in trying to, I guess, make sure that that their seed at the end of these games is either within the plane or I guess even in the
Um,
playoffs.
Genuinely, I don't have any hope for the Pelicans at all.
Hmm.
Zion being out is big for them. Brandon Ingram has been back a little while now, and he hasn't been able to carry them to the heights that they would need to be carried in order to be successful, or at least get in a playing spot. Um,
Right.
their strength of schedule right now is the third highest of these 8 teams between 5 and 12 in the West.
Hmm.
So they got a lot of tough teams to play against to round it out, and I just don't see it in them. It's an unfortunate thing given where they were at the start of the season, top three seed.
Yeah, they were looking
They
good.
were booming, and then they just fell right down. This is kind of like the antithesis of where they had last season. They were absolutely
Hmm.
atrocious at the start of the season, went 1-12 to start out, and then turn the season around, end up in the first round playoff series, carry the Suns to
Hmm.
to 7 games, and it was a phenomenal story. But right now, I don't. The way that they've been playing, I don't see any fairy tale story like that coming out to them this toss.
I guess that's tough on their part.
Hmm.
So discussing all these teams, who you think like what's your list of the West right now?
Well,
Who do you
well,
see
yeah, I could
making?
give you my list
Yeah, go
of
ahead.
what I think it will be at the end of the season.
Okay.
So, we go from 1 to 10, include like any changes between what we seeing there right now and what I have. So
Okay.
I got Denver at number one. I think they stay at number one, continue it all the way to the end. I don't see anybody dethroning them. The Grizzlies at number two. Grizzlies just got back Ja Morant today, even though they're a pretty solid team without Ja Morant at the end of the day anyway. Uh, but I got them over leapfrogging the Kings. I think they want to keep to have a higher seed, just because. And
Right.
also they're going to be trying to get Ja back on the court, back into the groove of stuff. So I think they'll play their full team as much as possible. Just to mention, they out some key guys though. Steven Adams, Brandon Clark out for the season. Um, so it's going to be interesting when the playoffs say who they match up against and what they'll be uh, coming into the postseason. But I got Sacramento
Steven
keeping,
Adams is a rock.
yeah,
Is a rock for
for
Alabama.
that team,
So
truthfully.
yeah,
So
those screens. Yeah, sure.
I
Yeah,
got
go ahead.
Sacramento third. Um,
Okay.
they have had a phenomenal season, and the top three teams have been solidly winning all most majority of the games. So I don't see them being dethroned. So
Right.
everything below no. So I got the Clippers getting the fourth, even though their strength of schedule is one of the highest out of these teams from 5 to 12. I think they
Yeah.
have the tools, the stars, and everything
They
to
saved
beat,
up, man.
yeah, to beat the better
Kawhi
teams. Kawhi
especially.
been Kawhi been balling out since he come back. To be honest, and I think that's been going a little bit
Bro.
under the radar. People need to talk about that a little bit
Load
more.
management.
Load management kicking in. It's terrible,
Load
but
man-
load management kicking in. This is the time that Kawhi plays for. This is the time.
exactly. I don't waste my time with these upfront games. It's a waste of my time. Get
Ah,
me rolling after mid season. That's when I come alive.
come
Yeah,
alive in
go
the night
ahead.
time. Um, So I got the Clippers in fourth. I got the Suns in fifth. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have a rationale
Mm.
with that outside of the Clippers one. I just think that the Clippers might go on a little run here, give themselves a little bit of a higher seed. The Suns aren't really too far away from them. Uh, the Mavs, I got them keeping that. I think they're sixth right now. Yeah, keeping that sixth spot. I got the Warriors in eighth actually. I have the OKC to overtake the Warriors and take that seventh
Okay.
spot. When it's all
I,
said and done.
I can't be vexed with that. But
As I said, this strength of
I know
schedule is pretty.
Warriors is a team that still could turn up,
Yeah, they
and they
could,
need to turn
they
up.
could, but again, bearing in mind how their track record for the season on away games, they have quite a few away games. Pretty much half of their games are away games, and if we assume that they
Hmm.
lose all of them, let's go with that assumption because right now that's how it's been looking consistently.
Yeah,
Like it would be a struggle for them to maintain the seed.
they'll be in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll be
so
in trouble.
I
Because,
got.
like
Mhm.
you said before, if any team below them win any more than 3 games, is a wrap.
It's true.
Is a wrap for Warriors.
So I got them in eighth. I got the Warriors in eighth. OKC in seventh.
Yeah.
I have the Lakers actually coming up to ninth position. I feel like they feel the urgency after getting beat from the Rockets and some inferior teams, um, the
Mm.
the last over the last few weeks, and they got a break. The Wolves give them a shot to do better because the Wolves lost three in a row over the past week. So that's like seeing the opportunity and not taking it. I think they are
Yeah.
all aware of it and will try their best to get as high as they can. And ultimately, I think they'll settle for ninth. And
Hmm.
I have the Wolves actually dropping down to tenth in the West. Anthony Edwards got injured last week. I watch his team pretty much
That's
every
a
week,
tough loss.
and I just don't see how they're going to weather the storm without his offense. Truthfully, defensively they'll probably be okay, but offensively, he need points. You need to at the end of the day, you need to score in basketball. I'm watching the team without Ant. I've seen it on too many occasions. He provides too much offensive power that they'll miss, and they'll probably drop a few games um, because of that. So there's it. I can run it through again. Denver 1, Grizzlies 2, Sacramento 3, Clippers 4, Suns 5, Mavs 6, OKC 7, Warriors 8, Lakers 9, Wolves 10.
And all the rest could come back again next year. uh,
I want to have an honor mention in that regard. It must be sad to be Damian Lillard. Jeez, man, had a historic run.
man.
I guess from the start of this year up until this point,
Hmm.
and still can't win the games in the lottery right now. Trying to get Minyama because it's sad, but I guess loyalty in his
But what can
specific
you
case
say?
is this PR. So I don't know.
I don't know. It didn't look so for the amount of time that he's been in the league right
Hmm
now,
hmm
and time running out basically. So hopefully, I guess hopefully they could get players for next season because like you say, it don't look like it would happen this season at all.
Correct.
Um, Let me touch on the race for MVP. Wait, no, I need your East lineup
Yes.
first.
So in the East, from 1 to 10,
Mhm.
things we didn't really discuss the East in terms of like how it's shaping up.
Yeah,
Things are a little bit tight in certain spots, but not as dramatic as the West. I can pull up the
right.
standings on the screen for you guys so you can see.
Most things a little bit settled.
Yeah,
You can
most things a
see.
little bit concrete. I could say the East
Hmm.
probably has been the better conference in terms of balance.
Hmm.
I don't know, identifying who is who's power, who's not. The West
Right.
has been more exciting because of the parity there, but um, the East have been pretty straightforward. Uh, for my East predictions in as to how it would play out when it's all said and done, at the last game of the season, I think the Sixers are going to take that number one spot from the Bucks. I don't know if a lot of people see it, but Like sticking
I
with
was
that,
waiting to
I've
hear
been
you say
predicting
so.
that. I've been predicting that from the start of the year, and
Yeah,
they've won eight straight over the past few games. They've won eight straight, and I think they'll continue that winning streak as much as they can till the end of the season. I think the reason why the Bucks wouldn't maintain the number one seed though is that they might try to rest some players coming on to the end of the season. They already got 50 wins.
strategic move.
Yeah, get ready for the playoffs. I think that's something that they'll possibly do. Their coach is somebody that doesn't like to overwork players, so I can see that happening.
Right.
The Celtics have been taking a three seed um,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the season, staying where they are right now. They've been quite up and down over the past few games, but they've been solid overall. So I give them the benefit of the
Yeah.
doubt. I don't think the Cavs will catch them because they've been a little bit up and down here and there too sometimes. So I have the Cavs in fourth, have the Knicks in fifth. Knicks have been superb over the second half of the season. Uh,
Hmm.
they
That
could
boy
probably sneak
Jalen.
into that fourth spot and take out the Cavs depending on how they play the last few games of the season. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not really a long shot,
It's
but
not.
it's unlikely.
It might not happen. Yeah, yeah.
I got the
It's more unlikely than it is likely.
yes, I got the Heat coming up from seventh up to the sixth spot, taking out Brooklyn. Brooklyn had a pretty big cushion after the trade. They've been relatively balanced over the past few weeks since the trade, and
Right.
I think they'll lose some games here or there because they're not a super talented team. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to stack up on the wings. I have more faith in the Heat. Trying to, turn on the gas a little bit close to the end of the season. Something that I would say their main player does most of the time, Jimmy Butler. So
Right.
they're going to go try to get some wins so that they don't have to be in that playing spot. I have more faith in them being successful in that than the Nets maintaining that sixth seed. So with that said, I got the Nets coming down to seventh. I got the Raptors actually taking that hot spot um, for the eighth seed, and then they've got
Mm-hmm.
the Hawks down to ninth. The Hawks haven't been looking too good for the whole
The Hawks
season.
made it. No.
Yeah,
The Hawks.
the Hawks have been really lackluster given the expectations
Yeah.
that they had going into the season. Uh, I don't see what it will take to turn them around, and they also got a new coach recently too, so that usually takes a little bit of time to
Yeah.
sink in. So I think they're going to be a little bit more losses than wins as the coach try to figure it out, and just the whole issue with them on a whole. So
Right.
then they got the Raptors. Then they got the
No.
Bulls anytime
Right.
spot. The Bulls have been underwhelming all season. They've picked up their level of play over the last few weeks, but I think it's a little bit too late to really make a big push. They could the playing games probably would be exciting with whoever they face because they probably would have the edge given the experience and talent that they have on the team, regardless of
Mm-hmm.
wherever they fall in the playing section. But I just don't think that they'll win enough games over the course of these next 10 or so games to propel themselves much further ahead of these other teams in front of them. So those are my top 10 for the East and the West at the end of the season.
Nice. I don't have any like outlandish changes
hmm
for that list. I think that's a pretty fair list, and the stats kind of tell you where a team should be as well,
Exactly.
and trends as well for the East. So that's good. Let me touch on the race for MVP a little bit. Um, we got Jokic versus Embiid as probably the biggest topic.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Some fans might want to put Luca in there. Some fans will want to put Giannis in there.
I think it's
Um,
safe to say that Luka is out of the conversation, given how let me see how to put it. The Mavs doesn't just looking at the Mavs record alone. Luka played.
right.
Luka has missed some games, but he hasn't missed a whole lot of games. I would say. Even when he was playing, they were struggling to win games at some points in the season, and even when he was putting up 40-point triple doubles and 40-point games, it was like the more he scored, sometimes the worst the outcome for the team and he win a loss column. So
Right.
I think it's pretty safe to say that Luca is not in that top three in that conversation anymore, because
Hmm.
of the performance of the team. So that's just my take on it. Some others might think so. You know, the Luca stands, the Dallas Mavericks
Yeah,
fans.
fans like fans will always try to put their player,
Yeah.
up there. But I will have to agree with what you're saying.
Hmm.
It hasn't shown outside of his performances
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
to say, all right, yeah, Luca's the guy.
Hmm.
What about Giannis though?
But I think Giannis is the one that I think we've slept on all season because there's a point in a player's career where we just think greatness is expected. Like we see it with
Hmm.
LeBron. Like LeBron probably should have had more MVPs than he will ever get. Uh,
Right.
you only realize what they're doing when you look back and say, "Whoa, this guy averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists for his career." And Giannis is going into that role now where he's doing these putting up these crazy numbers, and it's just like, yeah, that's what Giannis does, but Embiid for MVP. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's been a little bit
Right.
underrated in the MVP conversation because of that. He's already won two
Mhm.
MVPs. Um, I guess the focus for most people is like, yo, Giannis, you gotta go back and get another chip. You know, like
Yeah.
focus is maybe think about Giannis. You don't think about regular season right now. You're just thinking about, yeah, we know Giannis gonna put up this stuff for the regular season. He should go and get some. It's all about the postseason. Who do they have to face, etc., etc. That's a more intriguing topic.
Right.
So he's off the radar, but he definitely should be in the conversation. Maybe not as high as Jokic and Embiid as we would get into now, but he's definitely right there with them. Um,
Hmm. Well, break it down for us
yeah.
then.
So Embiid, Jokic. So I could say Jokic has fallen off the radar a little bit, uh, a little bit. I think the last time we had this conversation, the way that he was playing at the time, it was like a no-brainer that Jokic was going for that MVP. Like, he was just putting up some
Hmm.
stuff we never seen before, averaging 10 assists as a center. I mean, still he's still doing it now, on the season,
Right.
but points wise he's dropped off, and then Embiid has just been off the rocker over the last 10 games.
And I think that
Embiid,
8 game win streak
yes.
really helped
And
the
if they get that
conversation
number
as
one
well.
seed, if they get a number one seed, Jokic and Embiid, that conversation, I just think that you can automatically flip to Embiid because Jokic already win it twice. If Jokic win it again, that'd be 3 years in a row that he got it. There's only one person that ever won the MVP 3 years in a row to my knowledge. That's Larry Bird. So that's
Hmm.
prestigious to even have that happen. I just feel like there's a lot of Embiid hype, media
Yeah.
wise, based on what I've been seeing, what I've been hearing, what I've been reading. Um, and I think that's because there's always this thing of voter fatigue, when it comes to the MVP race, and it's such a toss up. So when you look at the advanced numbers, every single time you okay, should probably be better, but uh, I think that Embiid now has ratcheted his play, averaging 35.2 points over the last 10 games, and
Hmm.
especially defensively. I watched him in a couple of games, just locking up stuff, locking up the paint. Had had the guys essentially scared to come in the paint, couldn't score. So all that stuff taken into consideration, the fact that Jokic himself is not a defensive stalwart, could play into Embiid's favor going into these final weeks, into who will be the favorite for MVP. So I
Right.
personally think right now Embiid has the edge, but Jokic himself hasn't been too far off, averaging almost a 24-point triple double, 24 point, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists. Pretty much, is he even averaging a triple double in the season? I believe if he's not doing it, he's already close. And that's
Hmm.
another argument that you have. Like, there's only two other persons that average a triple double for a season. That's Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook. Like, things that we never thought we'd see happening again. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Okay, so
That's why I say records are
it,
meant to
to
be
be
broken
broken,
or
yes,
repeated.
yes. So,
It has to happen. It has to reach another level. You know what
mhm.
I'm saying? So,
So it's a
yeah,
little.
I mean, if we go based off of numbers, like a lot of people think is a fair way to do it,
Mhm.
you can go give it to
Yeah.
Jokic. Well,
Well, I mean,
that's
Embiid
providing.
numbers ain't. undeniable too. Like, right,
Yeah, but on the I guess on the full scale of things, when you look at the average between the amount of points, rebounds, and blocks, and assists, and what's not, I think Jokic would get the edge on the numbers.
yeah,
But when you look at, I guess, the player and how the player achieve these numbers, you might want to give it to Embiid.
hmm
Plus, two, he's a more exciting player than Jokic
yeah,
is.
exactly.
Um, so we will see what happens in the end now, of course. But I don't know that it would be wrong to give it to
So either
any
them,
of the two.
yeah, exactly. That's the
That's
thing.
the truth. But Embiid is my pick anyway.
Yeah, I think is I wouldn't say that Embiid is my pick, but I think it's going to go to Embiid. And two, you got two things
Who would you
before.
like to have it?
I
Go
I
ahead, go
don't really
ahead.
sure truthfully. I don't know.
Come on, man.
I, I mean, I'd like to give it to Embiid, but I don't like to do things out of sympathy because for me, it feel like a sympathy thing. But he's also still performing at a all-time great level. Um,
Mhm.
so I give it to Embiid, but it's not clear for me. It's not clear for me at all.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair. That's fair.
but they got a matchup coming up next week, Monday. We gotta lock into that because that could very well be a game that decides the I guess the fate of the MVP for this season. Whoever performs the
Right.
best in that game, I'm pretty sure will get the nod for MVP. So that is a big game. I thank whoever scheduled the games because they couldn't schedule it any better. Couldn't have. Right at the end of the season,
Yeah.
a big matchup between uh, two MVP rivals. So that'll be fun to see.
Yep. As is like, let's go for it.
Hmm
Show me what you got. It sounds like somebody give you a massage after you decide who you would give the MVP to, because like
it
it's so hard for you to
is
say
it is hard.
like which one. So with that, people, we're gonna break. When we come back, we can talk about F1, people. Hype weekend. So stay tuned. Peoples, we are back to talk F1.
It's true,
Hype weekend. Exciting weekend. I
man.
can.
Man, I know, right? I know that he's got. I get it. He's got battles and rivalries at the end of the day. But
Mhm.
I feel like if it was a big F1 fan, not that big in it, but I'd be
Yeah.
frustrated with the fact that since last year, Red Bull just saying out the top. Like nobody, nobody can do nothing with this man. at all, at all, every
Imagine
race
going through that for
for
7 years,
7 years.
man.
It's true. It is very true. I mean,
Yeah,
I hadn't had to experience it because I wasn't watching F1 during the Mercedes
me neither.
dynasty. But geez,
That probably
that's
would
probably
have
so
been
much
pain
pain.
for me.
My goodness, come on, man.
Yeah, it looks like the rebels are just way ahead. Honestly, like nobody can touch them. I mean, Fernando and Aston Martin getting close on one lap pace
Hmm.
in terms of qualifying, but
Hmm.
when it comes to the race pace, like
Exactly. Like
Rebel
nobody
got
is
it
near.
dialed in.
Yeah, nobody is near. I went and do some research myself. So
Hmm.
it's only been 2 games. Bear in mind, yes, I might be over exaggerating. There's a long season. Still got 20, how much ever races to go, right? 20
Yeah,
something races.
21.
So a lot can happen. But
Hmm.
the dominance is just undeniable. So over these first 2 games,
These
both
races,
my
these
yeah
races.
yeah
Yeah,
these
F1.
races, yes,
Yeah.
F1. Over these first 2 races,
Yeah.
Both Red Bull teammates have combined to distance themselves from the team by an entire minute. An entire minute. And you know in F1,
Hmm.
in these speed related sports, a split second is be so much time. An entire
Yeah.
minute. They beat the field by an entire minute.
Yep.
Tell me that dominance, man. Like,
That's crazy. That's what that is. That's well.
so I don't
It's like
know.
if Rebel participating and then everybody else fighting
Yeah,
for their own championship in a
exactly.
way. Like who's second best?
Like, come
Like
on, man.
that's what 2023 is. Like who's second best to Rebels right now?
Jeez.
But like you say, like people argue, it's still early days in the season.
Hmm.
It's only 2 races. We talk about anything can happen.
Yeah.
F1 you got reliability and all these things that kind of creep in to play. By the end of the day,
Hmm.
if Ribo got a good race car and there are no issues on track with Ribo,
Exactly.
put money on Ribo.
Exactly. Like, if it was a betting man, all my money
Win
going on
some
Red Bull.
money.
Exactly.
Yep,
Easy.
win some money.
Easy. Easy money.
Yeah. So yeah. What was your? I would ask what was your highlight for the race yesterday?
Um,
Like what stood out to you?
the fact that Mercedes had a better run, I guess, than expected. Truthfully, coming into the season, they've been
Facts.
looking down bad, but
Yeah.
they were able to find a way to get in the top five. They got fourth, they got third and fifth,
Yep.
fourth and fifth,
Four, four,
fourth and
fourth and
fifth.
fifth, I
Yeah,
believe.
so I think that's big for their confidence going into the next couple of races. Maybe they found something that they were doing right and could probably propel them to maybe give at least Aston Martin some competition to start. And I guess as the
Yeah, yeah.
season going, Red Bull and well, I can't say Ferrari. Ferrari just gone off the radar on the whole to me.
Well, I mean, this might have been one of those races where they just didn't have everything together,
Hmm.
correct? Um, but like you said, to see Mercedes actually maintaining the gap away from the Ferraris, and Ferraris not being able to make
Hmm.
inroads up to them in order to challenge them for position or anything yesterday was quite, I guess, intriguing in a way. Because like you say now, people ask the question, wait, is Mercedes actually making progress?
Hmm.
Right? But Mercedes,
Yeah.
as Mercedes, they're not going to be happy until they actually close the rival.
Yeah.
Like
Correct.
that's when progress happens,
Hmm.
not when they're ahead of Ferrari, a team that somehow over one season has been notorious for all these mistakes
Yep.
in terms of executing races
Yeah.
to to the best um, that they possibly could.
Right. I don't know.
Right.
At this
So
point, they probably just need a whole new team. They just get rid of everybody because it's just like is it for Ferrari. It's just been a case of mismanagement through and through every single time.
yeah,
So
yeah. But
it stems there. Hmm.
I would say though, like you can't really be too hard on them,
Hmm.
but I guess some of the mistakes from last year, I don't think even fans would have made, right?
That's crazy.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
So so I get the scrutiny,
Hmm.
but sometimes like some decisions are really tough to make, and you
Hmm.
can't really be too hard on them
Hmm.
because I believe it can happen to anybody. And I think what cost them was that they were risking too much and then hoping for too much at the same time,
Hmm.
right? Instead of doing things that kind of made sense on paper, like they were risking a bit too much, and more often than not, the risk failed. It
Hmm.
didn't go their way,
Yeah.
and they got a mountain to climb right now in order to, I guess, bring the fight to RedBull.
Hmm.
Because if two more races happen and Max and Perez start to win races,
Yeah.
then it's going to be tough for any team to actually match them in constructors.
Yeah.
If RedBull keep getting these 1-2s,
Hmm.
it's going to be game over for
Okay, yeah, it's a wrap.
constructors like by halfway.
Yeah, exactly. Not even then.
So
You giving it far.
it's
You giving it very far. Because at
going
this
to be a
point,
done deal early.
yeah, very early. But another thing that stand out to me too,
Mm-hmm.
is just the understanding of the drivers. As Max was tearing through the field, starting, well, he starting in like 15th.
15th.
He
Yeah.
started 15th and come second. Still was ahead of the third place person by a whole 11 seconds. So I was just watching the highlights and it was just like, the men ain't give no resistance, man. The men see Max coming, the men just like, it just let you pass.
Come
Like it
true.
was just like, come true. Like
Come true.
that's something that sounded to me as well. Like that's so
Yeah.
demoralizing to me. Like it's so sad.
But that brings me back to one of the things that the commentator would have said. Like Fernando knows his fight is not with the Red Bulls.
Uh-huh.
Like he gonna fight Mercedes and Ferrari. So
Yeah.
like really, but I think also too because Red Bull is so fast on the straights, right?
Hmm.
The type of track that this
Yeah,
was,
definitely. Yeah.
it was too easy,
Hmm.
too easy for Max to just pass because I think he made most of his passes on the finish line straight
Hmm.
or on the straight up to the penultimate corner,
Yeah.
and like that pace is too quick
Yeah.
for anybody to even try to fight.
Yeah.
No,
Correct.
when you get to another track that a little bit more windy than
Hmm.
that, then you could probably put
Hmm.
some elbows out and try to make it a whole lot
Yeah.
difficult
Correct.
for Red Bull, right? But yeah, I don't think any other team had a chance. Speaking of standouts, more like a shocker to me
Hmm.
is Fernando Alonso's podium mix-up.
Yeah. That was a mess. Right now, right now, right. I had the
I
top 10, right? I had the top 10 for the
yeah,
race, right? I still got George Russell third. I still got George Russell third on the graphic. It's oh my
like
goodness.
I don't know how they could have got that wrong. I think they were actually trying to find something to penalize Aston Martin for
Hmm.
because at first it was a grid position mistake by Fernando. Um, Esteban did it the previous race in Bahrain, and for Fernando Alonso did it this time around. He took it like he took it under the safety car, which was kind of a gift
Hmm.
for him, which also turned out to be a gift for Max, and that's why he got so close.
Hmm.
Um, but the whole idea of the team touching the car before they were supposed to, even after seeing the replays, is like where how nobody was even close to touching the car, in my opinion. And this was before I watched the slow mo that they was hinting at maybe this guy touched the car, this Jackman touched. Far from.
Hmm.
There's no way a guy trying to change the wheel going to touch the wing because that's what they were trying to highlight,
Yeah.
right? Like he was close to the wing. Like, there's no way, not even close. So I was pretty surprised that the FIA would have got that mix up in the first place,
Hmm.
and secondly that it would have taken so long to administer that penalty
Yeah.
after giving Esteban Ocon like 20,000 penalties within one race. It took them a whole race to give Fernando one.
Yeah, that's on
You know what I
fishy.
mean? So
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. So
Madness,
all
man.
in all, like he was able to celebrate his podium and still maintain the third place position. So I will say for Fernando's on a good run right now. Let's see if he could keep this up and maintain podium positions week in and week out
Hmm.
for Aston Martin. Tough that Lance Stroll didn't get a crack at it. I
Hmm.
think he would have been in good contention for points as well,
Yeah,
especially in the fight where with Mercedes. But yeah, Fernando and Aston Martin looking like a strong team.
oh, for sure. We talk about it last on the last stream too. Um, yeah, like we right there right now have the most promise out of all the teams. Um, besides the Bulls, the Red Bulls, to
Mhm.
to be up there when it's all said and done. Uh, so I can't say anything other than that. I guess I don't know how would you rate Lance Stroll as a driver? I guess amongst his peers.
Uh, I think this season will be telling.
Hmm.
Previously seemed like a normal driver,
Hmm.
go through the motions.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem like one of those guys that you can say is aggressive
hmm,
or isn't aggressive. Like
exactly. Like
he
that's what he's saying.
he just
Like
like ran the laps
yeah,
like in the simulator
hmm,
type of thing,
hmm,
and whatever happened. Yes, he's had some moments where he's made some good passes and what's not, and he's actually fought his way up to the grid. But
hmm,
you don't see it often enough to say, okay, yes,
hmm,
he's this type of driver,
exactly. Right, you
or
can't
yeah,
really like pin him to a style or or anything. That's what we've been saying. Like, he's the only question mark that I would have about Aston Martin because I can't really get a read on him. Like, if
yeah.
you get what I'm saying, I can't really say.
I heard I heard some people call him a bot, like a computer bot,
That's a
like
good. That's a good way to put him.
like another car to try to beat, I
Yeah.
guess, if you play the game. So yeah, I don't know, but he has a good car, and if he could start matching Fernando, obviously Fernando has a lot more experience
Yeah.
and what's not.
Way Miles.
He's probably he's probably far more skilled than Lance Stroll is.
Hmm.
Hopefully, too, this season will be a big learning process for Lance Stroll having Fernando as a teammate and
Hmm.
being able to pick his head, pick his brains to see if he could improve his driving. But yeah, people will say Lance Stroll is a bot driver, but he's not a bad driver. He's
Exactly.
not as bad as some people that we've seen in previous years. And
Okay.
I don't really want to call any names right now. I can just leave that where it is.
Well, yeah, man. So I don't know. With Checo taking the victory uh, in the last race,
Mhm.
what do you think of his chances of being this year's champion?
I think he can be close, honestly. But Max is a driver that don't usually make too many mistakes.
Hmm.
Um, Last year, I believe, at the same venue, the only mistake he would have really made was hitting the wall, and that was a to me for a street circuit that hit was small because
Hmm.
he was right on the limit.
Hmm.
So for a driver that doesn't make many mistakes, Perez definitely got to step up. Um, it was good to see that he was matching Max's times, like they were trading purple sectors and fastest laps
Hmm.
throughout the race.
Hmm.
After the start, after he got ahead, like he got a good getaway after the safety car was deployed,
Hmm.
and he kind of maintained that distance from Max for the entire race.
Yeah.
It only went down a few tenths or so
Yeah.
from 5 seconds to like
Exactly.
four
Yeah.
point something, and then at the end it kind of went all the way back up to like 6 7 seconds.
Hmm.
I guess Max was saving tires and energy for that
Hmm.
fastest lap that he
Yeah.
got at the end,
And
but
yeah, I was saying. Yeah.
um, yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, I think Perez is a good enough driver
Hmm.
to be able to match Max once he gets it right. And I think because like this is his third year now, I believe, at Red Bull,
Hmm.
he's had enough experience to learn the car philosophy like how to actually drive this car
Yeah.
to get this car to rotate in corners and what's not. So I'm hoping because this is what I've been begging for even since last year that Perez could bring the fight to Max
Yeah.
and they could be having these battles on track.
Right now
And
that.
I hope I hope like I believe this is not going to happen,
Mhm.
but I hope there are no team orders and they could fight each other like
I
they were
agree.
racing for different
I
teams.
agree. I
That
agree.
would be
That
very
that is
like
that's a big thing for
that
me,
that would be
for
the
him.
best
Yeah.
thing for the
Mhm.
weekends to come if Red Bull's going to be just dominating, right?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. I was
People
just
want to
gonna
see
say
that
like,
fight.
yeah, they could as well do it because right now I don't see them getting challenged, and that would be at least something you could look forward to in terms of competition at the top.
Correct.
If
Correct.
anything, with even though the teammates, let the man go out
Hmm.
here. Don't be telling, oh, let Mats come
Uh,
true. Let Mats come
parts
on.
cost money. So
Exactly.
the only people that wouldn't be rooting for that is Red Bull
Yeah,
themselves,
true.
right?
Fair enough.
Because money might come out
Yeah, that's
their
double
pocket
money.
if people
That's
touch.
double
Yeah,
money.
they,
But
they gotta be fixing
mhm,
cars, be economical. But
mhm,
I think they should be professional enough to be able to, race each other hard, but like give each other enough room
yeah,
to finish the race,
yeah,
right?
correct.
So honestly, man, I actually looking forward to it. Right now they're split by 1 point
Hmm.
in the championship, and I think Perez could bring the heat on certain parts of this season. And if things happen like reliability issues, like what happened to Max over the weekend,
Hmm.
that could also play a factor, right?
Yeah,
So hoping that the battle is sweet. And I know the victory is going to be far more sweeter for sure
yeah,
if
sure.
it's close
Hmm.
at the end. So looking forward for that.
All right. So, uh, notably, I know you would have highlighted some number two drivers that were outshining their, I guess, star teammates. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it
I guess
was it was very interesting.
it, it, I don't know. Do you think that that's something that is becomes inevitable at some point? Um, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you got young, hungry
Hmm.
drivers coming up in the field, talented drivers that want to do well, and for some people, is inevitable. Right now, I think Max is at a point in his career where that might take a while before it happens.
Yeah.
Like Lewis was, it took a while before you know things like that happen.
Yeah.
Not to say that he's fall off or anything. It's
Hmm.
just that like
Yeah, your team may get better.
certain things could,
Like
yeah.
simply that.
But there's that, and then there's some weekends where teammates will run different setups as
Yeah.
well, so
Hmm.
that can also play a factor.
Hmm.
You could argue that, so you never know exactly was the issue. But this weekend was interesting because more than half the grid,
Hmm.
um the so-called second place drivers were better
Yeah.
than their number one
Yeah.
drivers for
Yeah.
the team.
Hmm.
And yes, things happen, but you see in Williams, Logan Sargent versus Albon. Albon eventually retired, but Logan Sargent was pretty close. He
Hmm.
was darn close to Alex Albon in the race. So we could argue if Alex Albon didn't crash, Alex would have finished ahead, or well, if Alex Albon didn't crash, maybe we would have seen Logan Sargent get the better of him,
Yeah.
because that's what happened with McLaren and Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris.
Hmm.
Oscar Piastri finally got the better of Lando Norris in the last 2 laps to the race, I believe. So that's just to show that he's hungry and he's ready to prove that he could um, be the driver to, I guess, lead McLaren. Um, then we had Alfa Romeo, Joe Guan Yu versus Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas had a torrid weekend. So I mean, we could argue faults here and there as
Hmm.
well, because I heard him complaining on the radio. But hey, his teammate has got the better of him, I think, twice now, and then multiple times previously in the season, his rookie season.
Season. Hmm.
And then you got George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. George got a win last year, Lewis didn't, and
Yeah.
then it kind of continues this year as well,
Hmm.
with George doing well, and I guess setting the bar for
Yeah, yeah,
Mercedes.
right now. True for them.
And then yesterday we see again Ferrari, Carlos Sainz
Mm-hmm.
outshining Charles. Well, I shouldn't say Charles, it's Charles.
Charles.
Yeah, Charles. Um, he couldn't pass him.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. And it's not like he was notably quicker or anything.
Yeah.
Just gonna get past his teammate.
Mm-hmm.
And then Perez, matching my space and not relinquishing any position,
Yeah.
not falling under any pressure as well. So that's like 6 teams out of the 10 that we've seen the so-called second or number two
Mm-hmm.
drivers outshining the number one driver. So
Yeah.
that's good to see, and
Yeah.
I hope it continues like that, especially in terms of Red Bull, where even if Perez doesn't outshine Max, at least he could bring the fight to Max. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like we mentioned, that's what we want to see.
Yeah.
We want to see a fight from the top to the bottom of the grid.
Exactly. Exactly. So switching gears to F2. Um, we got
Yeah.
Session Life on our boy Zane, who had a rough weekend this time off.
Yeah,
Not as
it's a
emphatic
pretty
as
rough weekend.
last race.
Yep.
But I don't know. I didn't get to watch it, so you could tell us about. I guess we saw that could have been to his detriment. I guess starting from qualifying.
That's exactly it.
Fair enough.
I think that's exactly it. I think last race it would have looked spectacular. No, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
Zane is racy,
Hmm.
but if he wants to be in the points regular, he has to be better at qualifying.
Hmm.
Like he has to be up there in the top 10, or I guess close to top 10. I don't know if they have a qualifying car or not.
Hmm.
Um, I've heard that term tossed around
Hmm.
in F1, because like we've seen it last season with Ferrari, some top qualifying pace, but then when it comes to race pace, then
Different.
they're not as good,
Hmm.
right? So I don't know if that's the case, but to start off the weekend, he did not qualify in a good spot.
Hmm.
Actually, I think he did only one better than last race,
Yeah, which is
which
sad.
is not great.
Hmm.
So he definitely needs to work on that qualifying pace. Then it went kind of downhill from there, because in the sprint race, he spun in the second corner in the second lap,
Hmm.
so he had a pretty early day on Saturday. It was tough to see because after the spin, he kind of lost the engine. I feel like these cars lose engine really quick
You have to.
after spins or mistakes or whatever.
Hmm.
So um, it was a rough Saturday for him. And
Hmm.
then on Sunday, he had a pretty good first stint, but his tire strategy, I think, wasn't the one for him,
Hmm.
because he started on the medium tire
Yeah.
while most of the people ahead of him started on the super softs, which means that they'll genuinely be quicker at the beginning of the race. And for me, I'm thinking if you're behind, you're the one that has to make that early push, right? You're the
Exactly.
one that should be on the super softs
Hmm.
to make that push. But I guess that could have been something that the team was trying to figure out, trying to try out.
Hmm.
Maybe they were doing a Ferrari type
Experiment.
esque, yeah, experiment, because their other driver, who didn't really qualify much better
Hmm.
than Zane did,
Hmm.
was on a different strategy, and he was able to get up in the points.
It's crazy.
So I could say it was tire strategy, or Zane probably didn't have Jeddah hooked up.
Hmm.
He probably wasn't comfortable on the
Track.
circuit.
Hmm.
I doubt it, but just throwing things out there,
Yeah.
throwing ideas out there that
Hmm.
could have, I guess, hindered his weekend. But I think he could come back. I think he has a chance of redeeming himself early on.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of competition in F2.
Hmm.
Like I've
Clearly.
been watching these races. These races are really close.
Hmm.
The guy at the back is not too far off the guy in the middle
Yeah.
or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
and these pit stops are different because there's only one guy working on the tire change for F2, whereas in F1 you have
Four
like
man.
eight
Well, yeah,
guys.
it was more
Yeah,
actually. They talking about four.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
It's like two guys per tire. Or
Hmm. Yeah.
actually, it could be more because
Yeah.
one guy take off the old tire and then the other guy probably
Put
put on
on.
a new one.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, we won't see like those 2.5 second tire changes in
Nah.
F2,
Nah.
But at the end of the day, getting back to Zane, I think the the thing that can make or break his race is his qualifying
Hmm.
sessions, and I guess just I think he also needs a boost in confidence after yesterday because he didn't make any positions. He
Hmm.
didn't lose any either, but he would have if certain people didn't crash out in the race.
Hmm.
Um, so he would have actually dropped back if there was such thing as a perfect race. But we know in racing these things never happen.
Yeah.
So still rooting was in
Hmm.
people's.
Of course.
That's our local star, and I think in Melbourne in Australia 2 weekends from now, I think he's going to be good as well. So looking forward to seeing him perform in Australia.
Yeah, same here, man. Got a lot of promise. As you say, he's very racy. So if he just at least, even if he starts 10 for or something like that, like he just want,
Yeah,
uh, 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 just don't want to start at the back, man. So you can give yourself a better
exactly.
chance. Like what he did on the first race was spectacular, but you can't bank on that happening more than once. I would say
Yeah,
a season. So
exactly.
you gotta really be locked in from the start, and
The,
try to put
the thing
yourself in the
is,
best position possible going forward.
mhm, the thing is, if he qualified 10th, then he's in the he's in the best position to get good points in the sprint race, which happens on Saturday because they actually flip the grid
Hmm.
from first to 10th.
Hmm.
So 10th becomes first, and
Oh,
then first
nice.
becomes 10th,
Hmm.
vice
Hmm.
versa.
Hmm.
If you fifth, you're right in the middle things.
Hmm.
You good, but 10th to first, you got a good chance of racking up some points in the sprint race, and
Right.
then obviously like you would have got that experience from the sprint race being up front and what's not. You probably could carry momentum and confidence into the featured race on Sunday. So looking forward to seeing him perform, man. I don't think like one bad performance would cost him too much of the
Yeah.
season. Just needs to keep his head up,
Hmm.
keep his head down too, stay focused
Yeah, man.
and perform. That's what he's here to do, and I think he can do it. I think he can handle it.
Yeah. Same here, man. I guess we could switch back to some predictions from NBA stuff.
Yeah.
We just to give the peeps an update with our leaderboard and our predictions for this week. So let me just try to put him up for you.
We
I pretty
here.
we know I see a man is celebrating. We know we know you're already in the
We
lead.
here.
So
Yeah. I know. It's like RedBull all over
oh
again. I
my
know.
goodness.
It's
I mean,
like
if you had been last year, then fine. But that
ah,
certain person was that he taught last year. So we got some good competition going on here on like
yeah.
we were recently discussing. Um, but it's fun. It's fun, man. Alright. So right now we have what is in this thing showing up? We have there we go. We lead the board. We got Hans at the top with 41 points. Myself in
Sir.
second with 38. We got 2 weeks
She
left in the
close,
season,
boy.
so 2 weeks, another 2 weeks. So this week, and
You
is
close,
either
boy.
this week or next week for predictions.
Yep.
So we got like 6 more to go, and we have
Just
Hats
gotta
with
hold on.
35 um, in the standings. So it can be a tight race down to the wire. This is a
Plus
big
three
week.
deltas, boy.
This is a big week. This week and next week is a big week. So we kind of
Yeah.
having our own Western Conference type of deal going on here. The well predictions happening right now. Uh,
I actually think that this week is gonna be the telltale week, like to see who got the best chance of coming out on top. Like
yeah,
this,
probably,
yeah,
probably because if
this
if you
this
if
week could
you
make or
if
break.
anybody lose ground or make up a lot of ground this week, then
Yeah,
they either got a chance to cap it
it's a
the
battle.
following week, or they
Hmm.
don't got a chance because they ain't got enough time to get more points. So yeah,
Yeah,
this is a tough week. So for this week
I
we
just
have
can't go 0-3 because
nah,
otherwise
yeah, that's
last
a
week
wrap.
is winners take all.
That's a
No,
wrap.
because it would be tied, and then
Yeah,
last week will be winners take all, right? So
yeah.
I just need a little bit of cushion.
So this week we're
Yep.
doing Celtics at Kings tomorrow night. I think that's a pretty good matchup. Two
That's a
teams
tough
at
call
top of
too.
the conference, so it should be fun. Both top five offenses in the NBA, so
These some tough calls
yeah,
though. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
yeah, that's a nice one. And then we got Warriors at
Yeah.
Mavs on Wednesday. That's an
Hmm.
inter. Two teams that in that same 5 to 12 range that are a game or two away from each other. So that should be exciting. Should have a playoff
Yep.
atmosphere. We got a bunch of stars on the court. We got Steph, Clay, Luca, Kyrie. I think
Hmm.
I ain't sure if Luca back, but let me assume Luca, Kyrie,
Draymond.
Draymond. So that should be a fun, exciting game. And then we got Bucks at Nuggets. But this game because Giannis can face Jokic, so that should be
Hmm.
exciting because we just talked about a whole MVP discussion, and
Yep.
this could be another game that impacts where the MVP goes. If Jokic has a bad game, probably wouldn't be a good look. If Giannis has a spectacular game, it might boost him over Jokic. Maybe I don't know. So
Right. I mean, if Jokic doesn't have a good game and then go and lose to the
yeah,
Sixers the following week,
yeah.
then Embiid
Yeah,
might get it.
exactly. So a lot of implications for a lot of things right there on these
Hmm.
games. So I guess we could start off, or we could do it. We could probably just post it. We probably just see our predictions. I don't know what you want to do, huh? You say no, because we still gotta get
Boxing.
hot saying.
I mean, you could get yours and get
Yeah,
mine
yeah,
now, and
yeah.
then
We do it
Hearts
that
Hearts
way.
could fill in a little bit later.
We do that.
Um,
Right. So Celtics at Kings. So you got.
I think Kings could take this
Hmm.
at home. I think, yeah, Kings is my pick for this one.
All right. I go with the Kings. I
You
think the
got,
Celtics as well. I think the Celtics have been a little bit up and down, even though they've been
mhm,
good on offense for the season on the whole. I think the
yeah,
past few games they've been a little bit stagnant there. They played Timberwolves last week. Watched that game and they were struggling. I mean, the Timberwolves were playing good defense, but at the same time
hmm.
they were struggling. They was just breaking stuff even when it was
I
wide
think
open.
Kings got a really good unit too,
Yeah,
and
a more
I think
cohesive, more
home
fluid. Yeah,
advantage
yeah,
is what like kind of throw me over to their side. But on neutral turf, I would, you know,
yeah. On neutral turf, you probably go. Well, that's
either
not
way.
there ain't such a thing in the NBA, but on neutral turf, you probably go with the Celtics because they're the better team. But yeah, I got
Celtics
what you're
and
saying.
Kings at the Garden.
Yeah, exactly. The next
Warriors and
matchup,
Mavs.
yeah,
I got
I
Mavs.
got Mavs too because the Warriors coming away against a save their life. Truthfully, let they could prove me wrong this time, but there's no way that I bet
It's
him for
possible
them on
though.
a away game. That is sure that would be a big win if it does happen. But I'm not willing to take that
Yeah,
risk on the Mavs. I mean on the Warriors at all,
that's fair. That's fair.
at all, at all at all.
Bucks at Nuggets.
For me, this one I can rate the Bucks on this one. Uh, I'm hoping. I think Giannis is playing, or should be playing. That's Saturday, though. That's a Saturday game. So I'm hoping that there ain't nothing between there. I go in Bucks with this one. I mean, the Nuggets have been good at home. I mean, the Bucks have both of the teams have been good. Period. But again, if I don't think Giannis is really vying for MVP, but you know that you can get 100% for Giannis regardless of whatever time it is. So
Mhm.
I think they have a good unit to to fight the Bucks. They got some big bodies for Jokic, and probably find a way to stop him. Pretty good defensive team, and I think they'll take that
Nuggets
victory.
is a pretty good defensive team too. I
Well,
think.
not really.
I think they. I mean, but
Not as
I
good as
think
it,
they
but
have the yeah, well, not as good as Bucks, but
hmm
they still have the personnel to slow down Bucks.
hmm
Enough, I think, to to win at home. So
hmm
I can go with the Nuggets. I go with all the home teams this
All right,
toss.
fair enough. All right, so we see what Hakim got. What?
Yeah, we can see what Hakim come with.
Julius Randle got 52 points. What? And it's the
What?
third quarter?
Ooh,
What is
are
going
we
on?
looking at another guy that's
Possibly
going
another
to
60
great
point,
some
60 point
crazy
game.
70-point
It
game?
may be. Hey, 8 threes for Julius
Boy,
Randle. That is crazy. Did man
who
hang in
dishing the
52?
dimes? Jalen.
Jalen Brunson. I think yeah,
Jalen
Jalen
got to be
Brunson got
dishing the
9
dimes.
assists, but that might just be all Julius Randle himself.
Uh, I ain't sure about that.
hmm
I
I,
won't. I won't say it's all Jalen. It's running
um,
himself. I,
but them playing against the
uh,
Wolves right now, I can't believe them can't go. I gotta go and watch this game now. I gotta go and watch this last quarter.
we
Oh
won't
boy.
go go people. So that go. We won't gotta go. We can close out. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for joining us, man. It's been a pleasure again. Chopping it up with you.
Yes, yes, same here.
On the season, the NBA season, as well as talking some F1 and F2. Always gotta talk F2 because we gotta support our boy Zane.
hmm
But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed the show. And if you did, show your support by hitting that like button. If you are new and you like
Thumbs up.
what you hear, you like the vibes, you like the energy, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel and you'll get notification every time we go live and every time we post a video. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms that you can see in your bottom right hand corner of the screen. So follow us at Hastro Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.